There are two essential truths about motorcycling in India today. The first is that adventure motorcycles are the best at dealing with our richly varied riding conditions. And the second is that we suddenly have an abundance of choice in the sub 500cc ADV space. With so many locally manufactured options available today, we decided to pick a bunch of them and head out on a little adventure of our own. As with most long motorcycle journeys, ours begins super early in the morning at a fuel station.
Right, it's 5 in the morning, we're just about to start the ride, and I think a good thing to point out is that this is not going to be your typical auto journalist adventure bike comparison. We're not going to be doing some crazy hardcore off-road riding, none of that kind of stuff. Instead, what we're trying to do here is to just use these bikes as customers would. We're just like basically 5 friends going out on a ride, and we're going to try and factor in the things on this ride that customers typically tend to do on such motorcycles. So we've loaded them up with luggage. We've got a long highway journey ahead of us. We're going to go down to a fun location. We're going to explore that location, maybe do a little trail riding, off-road, try and find some exciting places, explore the coastline of Goa and Maharashtra, and just have a good time on bikes that were made to do exactly that. Now, as with all journeys, this one also starts at the fuel station. Our ride is quite literally fueled by BPCL. We're here at their flagship store in BKC, where we're filling some premium fuel in these motorcycles, and then we're going to hit the road.
The ride hasn't started yet.
I run hot.
It's okay, it gets better. We made a peaceful escape from the city under a dark urban skyline and hit the NH66. This highway begins outside Mumbai and cuts through the gorgeous Western Ghats before terminating at the very tip of southern India, although our destination of Goa arrives much before that. As for these 5 bikes that we've selected, we decided to restrict our choice to locally manufactured options that produce at least 35 horsepower. We also decided to go for the more all-round capable models rather than any highly focused off-road versions, and that's because these bikes are the more affordable ones and they have the wider appeal. And yes, you're right, the Triumph Scrambler is not an ADV, but it is typically on most ADV buyers' option lists, and we decided to bring it along just to see how it compares. With our 5 bikes happily rumbling down the highway, our stomachs eventually began a rumbling of their own, and it was time to stop for breakfast.
So we've been on the road for a couple of hours now. Too early to talk about the motorcycles. We all want to change bikes. We're going to keep swapping bikes every hour, every 2 hours. So we'll have an opinion on what the bike's like at the end of the day. But for now, I want to introduce our riders to you. Some of these guys are familiar faces, some of them you don't know. Let's start with Azaman. You know him well, bike team. And Azaman, like me, loves riding off-road. He likes adventure bikes, so this is right up his street. Then we have Dinshaw over here, another familiar face. Dinshaw is more of a road rider. He likes fast bikes on tarmac. So he's not particularly an off-road guy, but he's going to give us a different perspective on these motorcycles because of the kind of bikes that he likes. Then we have Soham. If you follow the car space, you know him well. Soham actually started his career in the bike team, but then he abandoned us for some reason. Maybe the interior comfort of a car and air conditioning was too good to resist, but Soham still loves motorcycles. And then we have Jigar. Now, Jigar is a face that you don't know. That's because he's not on the edit team. He is actually on our events team. But I wanted Jigar to be on this ride for a couple of reasons. The main reason is that he is an adventure bike owner. He owns an Xpulse 210, and as his t-shirt very proudly says, he also has a Honda Transalp. Now Jigar is going to give us a different perspective because he's the kind of adventure bike owner who does not ride off-road. He's bought his adventure bikes because of what they offer him on the road. So we're going to hear something different from him as well. And finally we have Gavin. You guys know Gavin well, but Gavin's driving the support car for this trip. Thanks Gavin for taking that sacrifice for all of us. But he will be on the bikes at some point as well. Anyway, that's it. We're going to enjoy our breakfast and hit the road again soon.
As the hours passed, our day was progressing well. Despite non-stop rain, we were able to carry a good pace and none of the bikes were holding us back. Some stretches of the highway were quite bad, but these motorcycles simply rode through unbothered, and regardless of the road conditions, we were rewarded with breathtaking monsoon sceneries all throughout. Eventually, the bikes needed some more fuel, and this stop ended up being pleasantly productive.
Now, contrary to popular belief, the best way to cover ground quickly on the highway is not to ride as fast as possible, but to hold a quick and comfortable pace and stop as little as possible. Now, unfortunately, with most motorcycles, you do have to stop for fuel every 200 to 300 kilometers. So when you do that, it's nice to be able to make more of that stop rather than just filling fuel. For example, we're here at a BPCL pump at Lanja in the middle of the NH66, and you have a nice cafe where you can get some food, and you even have surprisingly clean restrooms. So you can make more of that pit stop than you normally would, and that's just a nice thing.
A good 12 hours after we first left our homes that morning, we finally turned off the bumpy NH66 and onto some smooth and typically quaint narrow going roads. The ride had been a good one, but it was a long day and we were relieved to arrive at our hotel. An excellent dinner, washed down with some local refreshments, ensured that we were well rested for the fun that awaited the next morning. The next day, we caught up with our good friend Sherman, who'd be showing us around some hidden gems over the next couple of days. Day 2 of our adventure was all about exploring some trails and having a bit of fun off-road. But first, we had to recap on what the previous day's journey was like. After all, touring is one of the biggest reasons why people want to buy ADVs.
Now, these bikes are all very capable tourers. They all have a well above 30 horsepower. They can do the job well, but there are varying degrees, and I think we'll start with the most affordable bike, the RTX. Cuts above its weight.
Yeah, so the RTX, I rode it for a brief 150 kilometers in the middle. It was comfortable. I like the riding position. Starting off with the ride, I was on the KTM in the morning, and I realized that when you all were in the middle, the only two bikes where there was no proper throw-off headlight was the Scrambler and the Himalayan. I think we all agree on that.
Absolutely. The Himalayan has always had a terrible headlamp. All Royal Enfields, which effectively use that headlight, not good enough.
Except the Bullet.
Which is still halogen for now.
Yeah.
Nowhere close to good enough, and I think the Scrambler is as bad, if not worse.
Yeah, there's no throw-off headlight and you can't see anything ahead, but luckily we were traveling in a group, so we had the throw from the other headlights to help us.
This is a good headlamp, quite good. The KTM also does a good job. I think the RTX has the best headlight.
I think it's the strongest one here. Yeah.
So lighting is important on adventure bikes. Most people invariably will put auxiliary lights, but you will really need to on those two motorcycles. What were you saying about the RTX?
So I like the riding position of the RTX, and compared to the KTM which I was riding all morning, I even prefer the windscreen on this because that windscreen does come in my line of sight.
Okay.
The engine, it's smooth, but it's not the most fun engine that you would like. It's
not.
It doesn't give you that fun, feel-good feeling. But it does the job well. At 100, it starts feeling a little strained when it's in 6th gear at 100, but it still goes further, and you can carry speeds of 120 as well. There's just a little buzz along the way. And one more thing that I wanted to point out was that the quick shifter, it works okay, but there's that mid-range that you have to really shift in. Otherwise, it's a bit of it cut power too much at this time.
I find that quick shifter glitchy in general
in
city.
It is
sometimes it cuts power when you just touch it, so I actually have turned it off. Even today for the off-road riding over here, it needed to be
because
turned off.
A single touch from your boot can also just engage it.
Cuts. But this thing is surprising. It's only 299cc. It's making more power than you'd expect, 36 horsepower. You have to rev it, you have to work it, but it keeps up with everything over here. Top speed is about 140. You can sit at 120 or so if you want to. You just have to deal with the noise and slight vibration. I think it's okay. What do you guys feel?
Slightly taller gearing, like I said, would have helped, definitely. But then I don't think it really has the torque. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have the torque. So at 120, you're usually sitting at really high revs. But I think it's okay. And contrary to what Azman said, I didn't like the windshield so much on this much.
I agree with you.
Because there was a lot of helmet buffeting for me, especially for my height. So. Other than that, I think this was fine. I liked the ride also. It rides really well. Pretty good handler as well.
My favorite handler.
It's proper fun around the corners. So nothing to complain about, especially for the value it gives you. It's a great package.
Okay, so RTX, overall summation, I think, is surprising.
It is
You
surprising.
do not expect it to be able to do what it does, but you have to live with high revs and a little bit of vibration and helmet buffeting. Beyond that, for me, it was one of the easiest bikes to ride here. Everything about it is light. The throttle is light. The clutch is light. The bike's handling is light.
It even feels light on the
It
go,
has
yeah.
cruise control, which on NH66 is helpful. It's a surprisingly flowing road and you can hold speeds for long durations of time. And I think it's only the KTM and the Apache that have cruise control and valuable features.
Yeah.
So good job there. What do we go to next? Maybe Soham, Scrambler?
Yeah, well, so I had the pleasure of riding this on, I would say, the best part on the highway, the 2 ghats, and man, it was amazing, like really good fun, even though it was pouring. But yeah, this is just so nice and predictable. It doesn't do anything out of the ordinary. Good grip from the tires. Surprisingly comfy seat also. It's nice and wide. And yeah, this engine also, I really liked it. It's, I think, probably the most refined single out here.
It's surprising.
Yeah.
The Triumph wasn't so refined when it was a 400. It's
and
become...
even though it doesn't have a windshield, I think that wasn't really much of an
No,
issue
so I'll
for
come
me.
to that. I
Yeah.
feel like, honestly, like because I own the Scrambler
Yeah.
400 and I do Mumbai Pune often. It's actually, I've never felt the need for a windscreen, but I can understand maybe if you're just, if considering we all swapped bikes, it was not such an issue. But I think someone
Yeah, if you're
riding that
doing
for
the full
550
journey, correct.
kilometers, you would want a windscreen. I was in pain on that bike, but not for it was my raincoat. I have this hack of wearing an oversized raincoat to protect my backpack. And I had flapping raincoat that was actually hurting my arms on that, and it wasn't a problem on any of the other bikes because
Yeah.
they all have some amount of wind protection. It would be tiring on long distances.
It would.
It's the most road bike here.
It is, yeah.
I feel this is more of a gentleman's adventure bike where you can go off-road, but the road is where the Scrambler is really in its element. Off-road, it's okay.
Only one thing that we did face with this motorcycle was
Yeah,
that the
knuckle
handguard
guard, yeah.
did land up coming out 2 times.
A couple of
already.
times, yeah, vibration.
2 times.
We also had glitches on this. Fairly significant glitch. It's happened
yeah.
to me once in my time with it in Mumbai, and it happened twice when Jigar was riding it. It just loses power, right?
Yeah, so once it gets to the red line, then again when you like go ahead and say around 100 meters or 50 meters, the power drop starts and continuously starts dropping it until it comes to a halt.
Yeah.
When you like stop, turn the key on, off, turn the key on, and again then it's normal back.
Yeah, it's just like it's losing power very dramatically, and no matter what you do, you've got to come to a stop. When it happened to me, I didn't turn the key off. I just stopped and I started again. It was fine, but it's happened to us 3 times now. There is something that TVS needs to look in there. There's a lot of electronics on this motorcycle,
Yeah.
and
Too many, I think.
maybe some of it needs to be refined a little. Yeah. So Triumph, I think we can say, is the best rugged road bike here.
A rugged
Yeah.
road bike. I mean, the only thing I would say is it misses out on that initial kick that the
Yeah.
400 has, but
Yeah.
apart from that, it's a really nice motorcycle. to
Yeah, fair enough. I think all the bikes are on different tires. There's
Yeah.
Seats, there's Apollos, there's Maxis.
MRF.
We're on Apollos
And this is
there
on
as
MRF.
well.
This one is on MRF.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they all were fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had no problem. Wet ride the entire way, but this
Yeah, no
NH66 is very bumpy, which we'll get to, but very grippy also.
And
the
we've on
cement
stock-
has a lot of grip on it.
and on stock pressures.
Yeah, everything is on stock pressures. So no issue with tires. So should we move to KTM?
Yes. Yeah.
Which I think is the best high-speed tourer here. In terms of being able to, if you're the kind of person who likes to sit on highways at high speeds, 120 plus, that bike seems to be the happiest to do it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jigar? I think it's your favorite bike here for
Yeah,
a
it's my
different
favorite
reason.
bike. So first reason is the seat height, and also when I sit on it, the suspension sags, so both of my legs reaches ground perfectly. And second, because of the windscreen also, there's a good amount of wind deflection.
Which you like.
Yeah. And majorly the cruise control and all the other options which it has.
Yeah.
And I think Jigar is 5'5", he's the shortest rider of us here, so this is a sensitive thing for him and many other people who buy bikes like this. That seat height is really valuable, and to him, clearly, that is the friendliest bike
Yeah.
here.
And also it feels very light compared to the other bikes.
But how come not Scrambler? How come you prefer the KTM?
The Scrambler, actually the seat height is, and the seat is slightly wider.
Ah.
So when I sit on it, and also the suspension doesn't sags that much compared to this.
Right. But I think KTM's high-speed smoothness and effortlessness within the engine is better than this as well. This does feel a little busy, 120 plus. It's got the performance,
Yeah.
but that just
But I
relaxed nature, I think, is a little better there.
at high speed.
At high
But
speeds,
At high speeds, yeah. But again, I feel like that has more vibrations on the pegs.
Oh, vibrations are a different story.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
are going to get to
different-
vibrations on the KTM.
Vibrations are everywhere throughout.
You
the
started
thing.
the journey on the
Yeah.
KTM, and I
Yeah.
think you were eager to get off it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was. I mean, I always loved KTM's in general because of their character, and yeah, this one still has that rev happy sort of nature. But when you are chasing those revs, man, it just gets buzzy all over the place.
And I think that's my biggest problem with that bike. Now, the 399 also has that problem. The 399 had two problems, the refinement and the weak bottom end.
Yeah.
The move to 350 has kept the refinement the same and made the bottom end even weaker.
Yeah.
So I find that to be the great weakness in that motorcycle, which is otherwise a fantastic bike in terms of chassis, its ability to handle all scenarios. The 390 Adventure R, for example, is great off-road. This is more road biased.
So yeah, it has its positive things, but I think it's just.
And one more negative
Yeah.
that we did face over the few days was that bike has stalled.
It's the only one that's stalled.
It's
Yeah,
only
it's
one that
stalled.
stalled 4 or 5 times
All of
randomly.
us, for all of us,
Yeah.
the
All
of
stalling
us
issue
stalled,
has
yeah.
happened, I think.
Wind protection. I've grumbled about this in the past. I think there's too much wind protection.
There's too
on
much
that
wind
bike.
protection. I
Jigar
agree.
likes it, but the rest of us
Yeah.
don't seem to like it.
It becomes really stuffy. There's not much air also coming to you.
And
Sure,
for-
like
yeah.
wind protection is good, but you need that air when you're
And when
doing
you're
long
off-road, if you
miles.
make a mistake, there's
Yeah.
a large object it's very close
ready
to your
to
head and neck.
ready to hit your helmet.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the KTM then. Let's move to the most comfortable motorcycle. Is that fair to say? The Himalayan?
This is definitely the most comfortable motorcycle. Both on the road and off it, at least what little we've ridden today, you will never be able to shirk off its weight. But the way it inspires confidence in you in just all scenarios is just so predictable. The engine has nice torque after 3000 RPM. It's very predictable throttle response. I just like being on the Himalayan because it's simple, straightforward, and just gets the job done no matter what direction you point it at.
I think it's always been a Himalayan strong point.
Yeah.
The weight is its biggest challenge to customers. I mean, that's the main turn off. And we don't have the updated side stand. We've got an older media bike. It's actually done 18,000 kilometers. It's still running pretty well. But that side stand, you can see the amount of lean on it. It takes effort to pick it up. And if you're a short person, to then pick it up and manage getting your feet down is a real challenge. There's no doubt about it. That's why the Himalayan 440 is coming back next month. They're going to launch it soon.
And also the joystick, the biggest irritant.
And the
by
riding
far the
modes.
biggest irritant on that bike.
It's just so annoying. Like something as simple as resetting the trip meter requires like 3 of us to get in
Rack
there
our brains and just,
it's
hey, is this the secret
The
handshake?
thing is, it's always been fiddly from new. When the bike was launched in 2023, it never worked well. But I've also noticed that these switches fail. I mean,
Yeah.
they stop working after a while. And on our bike, the home switch doesn't seem to be working. The mode change switch works sometimes,
It's
doesn't work
temperamental.
sometimes.
Yeah.
We had torrential rain yesterday, and I'm sure that had some effect on it. But everyone else's switchgear is working fine. So, yeah, that's possibly the biggest. We've got a touring windscreen. It's an accessory on that
Yeah.
bike. Works well.
Works well enough. I mean, the buffeting is definitely better than the
Yeah.
RTX, but there's still some amount of buffeting for me.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I
was
think
okay with
that
it.
was the best actually.
Yeah,
the
I
most
like that. It's some
comfortable,
wind
yeah.
protection and some air coming.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
From
also
all
didn't
of
have an
the
issue with
bikes
that.
with the windscreen, yes, this is the best, but there's still some amount of buffeting. There's just no getting away on
Yeah.
an adventure bike from buffeting, I think.
To me, the Himalayan has perhaps the nicest suspension, maybe the RTX in terms of plushness on the road. It comes down to these two. The Himalayan's riding position for me is the nicest on the road.
It
Lovely
is.
seat. The ergo seat, the accessory seat is even nicer, but this gets the job done.
For
And
sure.
Put in a
More
higher
than.
position for someone tall. I think that's the best made in India bike for a tall rider in terms of the
in terms of
ergos.
ergonomics,
Any day.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And one more thing that I feel like, I've always said it, I feel like the Himalayan would be even nicer with a quick shifter.
Yeah, it would. I don't care about traction control.
Yeah.
It doesn't need
Shifter
it, but
and cruise control. It's a great touring.
Yeah, I would
motorcycle.
those two features would
Yeah.
massively enhance that
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Exactly.
And that brings us to the bike that has inspired this whole comparison.
Yeah.
Highly anticipated, looks fantastic to me, aspirational, twin cylinder, unique clutch technology. There's so much to talk about here. Perhaps I can start by saying it didn't blow us away in
Yeah.
the way that some people may have expected.
On road.
On road.
On road, yeah.
That's true.
So I mean, I'd never ridden this before. I was inquisitive about how the ERC works and stuff. And as soon as I got on it, I thought, okay, this is a twin cylinder 450cc bike and it's, going to have nice go. But that's not really the case. It's actually a very approachable motorcycle. It, when you're using it with the ERC, it doesn't have a great bottom end, but you have a very potent mid-range,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't have a very potent top end either.
Yeah.
So it's a nice bike to ride in the mid-range, but nothing that really felt like, oh, something to write home about. This was not the
That's what I said when I
fastest.
first rode this bike in Goa a few months ago. It's not the most wow engine.
It isn't.
Does the job well. It makes an interesting sound, but it's not exciting. And I think that this clutch has robbed it of some that response and reactivity that you would expect from this bike at lower speeds. It's the lightest bike here, isn't it?
It is.
It's,
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't
under
feel
180
like it, though,
kilos.
yeah.
It's using a lot of creative things like magnesium cases to bring the weight down. It's got a twin cylinder engine. You expect it to be this excitable thing, and I think the clutch is taking away from that sort of bottom end mischievousness.
Yeah, I think that's taken
Yeah.
it away. Maybe in the middle variant it would be.
We haven't had a chance to
haven't-
ride it
Yeah,
yet.
but
Yeah.
maybe that would be better. But yeah, I wasn't blown away. But the story changes a little because when we were off road, Rishad asked me if I wanted. I wasn't sure if I did because I didn't want to drop such an expensive motorcycle. But once I took it, it was really fun. Even for the short bit, I did prefer this bike off road than I did on the road. That's
I think so. It's made a strong impression in that short ride
Yeah.
that we've had so far.
And obviously it feels like the best quality out here also.
Oh,
Just-
by far.
yeah,
It
by
feels the
far.
most special bike
Exactly.
to me. The way it looks, the material finishes, the attention to detail, the fancy BMW switchgear that
Yeah.
you get in the big bikes, the screen itself, the large screen. By far the most special feeling motorcycle here. I
Definitely.
think what we were perhaps disappointed with on the highway is the high RPM vibration.
Yeah.
I think that's what
Yes.
surprised everybody here. We were expecting this to be easily the best high-speed tourer, and it probably wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
115 is about the upper limit of
Comfortable.
effortless,
Yeah.
comfortable cruising.
In fact, the Scrambler does feel at some time more refined.
as smooth at least.
It's as smooth,
It's
yeah.
running out of pace,
Yeah.
But it is
yeah,
smooth.
Yeah, the suspension is good.
One of the best suspensions among all the other bikes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's a little firm, but at higher speeds on that bouncy NH66, I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
that road has been under construction for at least the 15 years that I've been an auto journalist, and it has been years of misery for people. And at the end of it, they made a very bouncy road, and it's
Yeah.
just unfortunate. It could have been one of the great road trips in India if it was just a smooth road.
Yeah, because the scenery is
views
stunning,
are
yeah.
amazing. The flow of the road is wonderful. But it is what it is, and that's why adventure bikes make so much sense in India, right? So yeah, you need a little pace to make that firm suspension work on that road, but I think it does a good job. It's adjustable. The BMW is adjustable. The Apache is adjustable, and that's it
That's
over
it,
here.
yeah.
There are certain KTM variants that are adjustable, R and S.
Yeah.
Yeah. Braking, best brakes on the
Yes.
BMW.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Best brakes, you have to just get used to that,
The lever.
the lever.
Yeah, I don't like that. Even when it's fully adjusted in, I don't get a good feel. I think it's too far
It,
out.
Yeah,
it is a
I
bit
found
far
it,
out and
exactly,
it's
it's too
sudden.
far.
So you have to
Yeah.
modulate it, but it is the sharpest brakes
They are
for
the
sure.
sharpest brakes here. Alright guys, I think we've covered extensively what these bikes are like on the highway. There's one very important thing we should talk about, fuel efficiency. We've been measuring it, we've kept a track. We do want to ride the bikes more and give you an overall figure to the end of the story. But so far it looks like we have a fairly clear winner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like it's the Himalayan, and it also has the biggest tank. So
Yeah.
the amount of
everyone is
distance-
giving us between 24 and 26
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
far on average. The Himalayan is just on the 26 point in both the three tank ups that we've done.
Yeah.
But I think it's because it's the torque, you're not revving
Yeah.
it so much, you're using the mid-range more, and then you got a 17-liter tank there, so the range by far is going to be the best on the Himalayan.
Yeah.
And one thing that we did notice is that the ones running out of the tanks quickest are
The two
these
TVS
two.
built bikes.
Yeah.
Both of them seems to come into reserve at around the same time, 220, 240 kilometers, somewhere there. So we've noticed that the Apache definitely shows more per trip. When each one of them is showing 230, 240, there is a bit of discrepancy, which is okay. This one is generally 10 to 15 kilometers,
Easily,
maybe
yeah.
even more higher than the others. So that's also having an impact on your fuel efficiency calculations and things like that. So we are sort of averaging it out when we consider the fuel efficiency. At the end of the ride, this is the kind of fuel efficiency that we got from each bike. Now, since we rode across varied conditions, we decided to share the highest and lowest figures that each bike returned, as well as what kind of fuel tank range that you can expect. Of course, this was with some quick riding, and the efficiency numbers will get higher at slower speeds. Now, all these bikes are very familiar and they have been on sale for quite a while. But here's a quick look at where they stand against each other in terms of the essential specification details.
With that very long and detailed chat out of the way, it was time to go explore some more trails, get these bikes even dirtier, and have a properly good time. Goa really does have a completely different side to discover as a motorcycle enthusiast. Now, we specifically chose not to venture down any tough or highly technical trails because that's not what these bikes are about. But even so, we got to ride through various kinds of terrain, including an unexpected few kilometers of deep and chocolatey thick slush. And after a day of sliding around in the muck, as well as sailing down some beautifully smooth winding interior roads, we finally arrived back at our hotel, tired but having had a heap of fun. How do the bikes behave off-road? Well, we'll address that in more detail when we get to our next destination, which means leaving Goa the next morning and heading for the Maharashtra coastline.
It's the morning of day 3. We're getting set to leave Goa. It's always lovely to be in Goa, but I think we're all very excited about what's next. We have a short ride today, just about 3 hours to a Maharashtra coastal town of Punkeshwar. It's supposed to be a really beautiful area, and we've decided to sort of end our story over there. Before we begin the day, might as well talk about mounting luggage on these bikes. I thought that maybe the BMW would be a little tricky, but just using these 2 posts, you can put some straps on, a strap can go underneath. It's quite straightforward on all the motorcycles. Actually, they all have luggage racks. Maybe the KTM is the only one that's a little tricky because you only have one loop point over here, and it's hard to get loops tied down to the back unless you have a little attachment like Azaman has put here for his luggage. The other option is to buy an aftermarket rack. This is probably the only bike that's slightly difficult to mount luggage on as stock, but it's an easy fix. All the bikes held our luggage very well and we had no issues. So in that respect, they all do a good job.
The ride out of Goa started on a familiar note since we were back on the NH66. But things changed after we made a fuel stop and then turned off the highway and onto some narrow rural roads. Interior coastal Maharashtra was such a surprise. Mercifully, the concrete obsession hasn't infected these regions yet, and these roads were constructed in joyously smooth and grippy tarmac. The roads were narrow and they meandered through a beautiful part of rural India where life clearly moved at a slower pace. Discovering this region ended up being one of the highlights of our trip, and it really reminds you of what motorcycle travel is actually all about. We eventually reached the breathtaking coastline of Punkeshwar, wolfed down another fabulous local meal, and then gave the bikes a much needed wash. After 3 days on the road, we had finally gathered all the riding experience needed to neatly wrap this story up.
It's been the shortest day so far, easily, but I think also the sweetest day. We've had some really nice, beautiful interior country roads and come up to this fabulous place. Now, in case this looks weird to you, it's because there's so much wind out here that we've had to shield ourselves with the bikes and sit down here to try and get some clean audio. And I'm also about to lose my voice, so please excuse that. But how do we end this? I think we should start about how yesterday's off-road was first.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah. You and I don't mind off-road riding. I love off-road riding. You don't mind it. These 3 boys don't really like off-road riding. But the interesting thing is all the bikes went through whatever we did yesterday. It wasn't hardcore at all, but there was some challenging stuff and everyone went through. What do you guys think?
Yeah, especially the mucky section. That was a lot of fun, I think, towards the end, which we weren't even expecting, but we ended up taking that trail. And
About 1 foot of thick clay.
Yeah, thick clay and mud. And I think Dinsha enjoyed himself the most there.
You could say that. You'll remember this one, Dinsha. Sorry? These are memories. You're going to remember the God trip for this. Good God.
But yeah, I think I personally had a really good time on the BMW. I wasn't expecting to enjoy myself so much on the BMW compared to how I felt on road on it. And yeah, the KTM has a good fun chassis. I also really like the Scrambler off-road. I mean, it's not meant to be, it's a road bike, but I had my fun on it because I'm really used to that bike considering I own it.
The BMW was a surprise for me. I knew it was fun from the first ride review, but man, it was so much fun yesterday because the standing ergos are spot on. You hold on to the bike really well. That engine has amazing mid-range kick and propulsion, which almost nothing else here gives you except for the Himalayan. And the Himalayan's heavy. So the KTM has lost its kick. The RTX needs to be revved. the Scrambler has really lost quite a lot of kick.
Yeah, that has lost the initial
The
kick.
BMW is the easiest one to slide and provoke and play around with, and the chassis is good and the suspension works really well. This KTM suspension is disappointing to me, the standard suspension. It's only in the R that the suspension is up to the task for me.
It's sorted on
when
that,
it comes
yeah.
to the KTMs. So yeah, the BMW is the most fun, but if you want an off-road adventure bike, none of these, just go and buy a 390 Adventure R. That's a different scene altogether. But since we're on adventure bikes, we had some fun. For you again, which was the easiest bike yesterday?
For off-roading, ideally it was the KTM because of its seat height, and RTX I did a little bit, but again KTM was much more confident than that.
Right. Tincha?
I think the Himalayan, because it's big and heavy, and yes, it's intimidating on paper, but honestly, for me, I found it to be the friendliest bike. It's very predictable, it's very trustworthy. Yes, you have to muscle it around a little, but you can trust it to get you out of a sticky situation.
And that's what you wanted, because the rest of us were playing around, but Dinshaw just wanted to get out of there. And I think as you carried momentum and as you carried speed, the Himalayan surprised you with how it just kept tracking forward.
Yeah, it just doesn't slide around too much. I think maybe it's the super long wheelbase also playing over there. I think for myself, I think the Himalayan, sure-footed, trustworthy and slow motorcycle at my speed, it's perfect.
Yeah, I think the overall, off-road is not so important when it comes to bikes like this particularly, but they're all capable. The Scrambler, the least, so you can run out of the travel on the Scrambler very easily. It's just 150 mm and it's a little springy on the rear. But they will all get you through whatever bad roads you throw at them in good comfort, and you can have some fun on light trails with them. And so they are good all-round
They're all
motorcycles.
capable motorcycles at the end.
Now, how do we draw a conclusion? I've been thinking about this for 3-4 days now. How do we end this? And the challenge is that we have one bike that costs 2.3 lakhs for the top model, and then we have a 5.3 lakh rupee motorcycle here. So you can't really draw a comparison and say this is the winner, this is the loser. Maybe we should just pick some points where each one stands out.
The best parts of each motorcycle, yeah.
So best value, no doubt.
TVS RTX.
RTX.
Unanimous. Unbelievable what they're giving you. In terms of how it looks, in terms of how it feels, the features that you have,
Features on offer, yeah.
and the kind of performance you get also.
Yeah.
You got to work for it, but it's good performance.
And it's a big, substantial feeling motorcycle.
Surprisingly
also, right?
so. It feels more substantial than the KTM when you sit on it.
Yeah.
What else? Best for short riders, we already discussed yesterday, is the KTM. But I would say the KTM also does well for electronics, I think.
Yeah, the way it works is just really nice. I mean, the keys layout and, just getting into the menus quickly, changing your riding modes and changing your electronic settings. It's just damn easy.
And what they give you works.
Yeah. And I like the screen also. The screen is
layout
neat
is
looking
really
and
nice.
really nice, yeah.
You pointed out yesterday that whatever features are there really work well. The quick shifter is probably the best quick shifter here. The cruise control works well. And the layout is very logically, so it's good to use.
Yeah, you never have a problem using that. In many other of the motorcycles that we had here, you had some glitches and stuff. But yeah, KTM was sorted throughout the trip.
If we were to pick from these in terms of pure fun factor, nothing else, what's the most fun bike here?
For me, it was the Scrambler, I would say.
Because it was easy?
Yeah, and also it's
The
sort of the
handling.
more road biased out of all of them. And I mean, I had a lot of fun on the road.
Says the
That's
road
what-
rider.
Yeah, that's what I would say. So yeah.
Fair enough. And
Yeah.
for you?
So the BMW was a lot of fun off-road. I mean, I enjoyed it more off-road than I did on-road.
Yeah. Same, I agree with you. The BMW put the biggest smile on my face of all these motorcycles by far.
I think I'll go with Soham. It was the Scrambler. It's just the easiest bike to get along with. I did take it for a short spin around the trail off-road, and while I was not keeping up with Azman and Rishad, who were gone by the time I even took the second turn, it was confidence inspiring and it put a smile on my face. I mean, I wasn't expecting to smile off-road, but the Scrambler is just so easy to get along with. And on the road as well today morning, I was having a good time on it. I think it's the Scrambler for me, most fun.
Jigar?
It was quite confusing for me, because again the torque and the feel which BMW offers on road, and the handling of the bike is much more better also with its suspension. And second option would be RTX or 390 for me.
Okay. I like that you point out the road ride just now. Fun doesn't only mean flat out hardcore riding. today the roads were these narrow, winding roads, and I wanted to just sit back at 30, 40, 50 kilometers an hour in a high gear and just enjoy everything. And I found the Scrambler was very nice at that.
Very nice at that.
And the Himalayan was very nice at that. You're just chugging along, using the torque. The other bikes, not so much. The BMW not bad because the BMW is happy in that space.
It's fun in the corners.
Yeah.
I mean, it corners very predictably. You always can get out of, you know, a tight corner when you need to. So yeah, it's nice in the corners.
Yeah.
I mean, nice in the corners and off-road, but yeah, not the, I would
The
say.
KTM just wasn't nice
Yeah.
at slow speeds. When you pick up the pace, it's fun, but not
and
at
it
all.
And like we mentioned, it also stalled at slow speeds
Yeah,
a bunch of times. Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of how we want. Oh, most comfortable bike. Sorry.
Oh,
most comfortable bike.
Himalayan.
Himalayan.
Has to be there. Hands down the
Has to be.
Himalayan. Yeah.
You too?
Yeah, because of its like seat, the sitting posture, it's overall like a complete package by like touring majorly.
I agree. The
I
Himalayan
agree.
with an optional touring seat in the high position for me. Oh man, that's the sweet spot. You've got to understand that the Himalayan's more work than all these motorcycles. More work to pick up off the stand, more work to change direction at slow speeds and at high speeds because it's so stable, it wants to track. More work to just open the gas. It's a thicker throttle to hold on to, which you noticed after 8-10 hours of riding, of holding it. It's a heavier clutch in the city, but it still just comes together as the
As
most
a
comfortable
package,
bike here.
It is just superb.
Yeah, like we said, the only thing we would have probably hoped for was a quick shifter and cruise control. on it.
Seriously, I was thinking that today
The
as well.
perfect package then.
Okay, so let's, instead of summing it up with picking a winner, I'm going to ask each of these guys which one of these 5 bikes they would buy and to explain why. So let's start with you.
Pretty straightforward. It's the one my luggage is strapped to right now. So I'm ready to ride all the way on the Himalayan, that is.
All right.
So yeah, complete package for me. Comfortable on-road, off-road, good handling, just small electronic improvements here and there, little more features, but yeah, it's just the complete most all-round package, I feel.
This one's going to be interesting because he owns a Scrambler 400. So are you going to buy one again or something else?
Yeah, I think I would, but again, like I really miss out on the fact that my 400 has that nice low end, bottom end. I really missed that on this motorcycle. But apart from that, it's still a sweet bike. It's simple.
That it is.
It's simple, it's nice, it gets the job done, and my usage is 90% in the city, especially on that motorcycle, because as you can see, for work I ride all kinds of motorcycles, but when I want to be in the city and I just do a short Mumbai to Pune sometimes, which is around 160 kilometers, and that handles it brilliantly. So I guess I would go back to the simple motorcycle because it's lovely handling in the city as well.
All right. Dinshaw.
For me, I'm very conflicted. I really want to pick the Scrambler because it is the machine that put the biggest smile on my face and I got along with it beautifully. The trouble is that in Mumbai, Triumph doesn't have the best service experience, and in South and Central Mumbai, you really don't have any Triumph service center. You either have to go all the way to Navi Mumbai or to Goregaon, which is a bit of a deal breaker for me. I don't really like to get out of my neighborhood too much.
We know.
I think for that reason, the Himalayan was a very close second for me. And I could live with the glitchy and fiddly joystick. Honestly, Royal Enfield, if you're listening, just please come up with a solution for that. It's been 3 years. It takes 3 of us to reset a trip
Each
meter
time.
every time.
Let me try it.
And just as a package, the Himalayan comes together wonderfully, and it has everything that I am looking for in an adventure bike. I think it's the Himalayan.
Jigar?
For me, ideally, it would be a BMW 450. Only for 2 reasons, like keeping one bike in the garage for highway cruising and long distance touring, and secondly also because of its ERC, it's quite easy to ride in the cities.
Me. Heart says BMW. I really got along with it when I rode it in Pune. I picked it up from Pune and got stuck in 1 hour of traffic, and I loved that clutch. I didn't like it the first time I rode it in Goa, but I really liked it this time. And I have grown to get accustomed to that system, and I quite enjoy it. Yes, it has robbed the bottom end of the bike and the response and all that, but for the kind of riding I do in big cities all the time, I really enjoy that. I like the fact that it's a twin cylinder. I like that refinement, and I think it's a very special feeling motorcycle in the way it looks, in the way it feels, the way it handles, the lightweight, all of that appeals to me. But price is one concern, and for me a bigger concern is limited availability in terms of how many dealers they have. The running costs are going to be higher than all of these motorcycles, and I like my bikes to be a simple affair that I don't have to think about too much. It functions in the background, and I don't have to worry about service and spare parts and things like that. And that brings me to the Himalayan. I think it's always been the Himalayan for me in India for adventure bikes. The KTM is more sporty and all of that, but its combination of its ability to just do anything. You want to ride it slowly, it's up for it. You want to hustle it through the corners, it's up for it. You want to ride it hard off-road, yes, it takes more skill and confidence, but it's up for it. There's this Instagram account, these Spanish guys riding through Africa. They take that Himalayan through some insane stuff. They're hammering the bikes. We have colleagues Siddhesh and Kuldeep just did a 6,000 kilometer tour of Ladakh, and they had a great time. Sherman, our friend who's been helping us with this section of the ride, has ridden through Russia for 20 days on the Himalayan. It's been a great ally, and I like that idea of a motorcycle, a solid, trustworthy ally that you build a bond with over time. So it's the Himalayan for me. Is that where we wrap it up, guys?
I think so.
It's taken this bit of last scenery. Tomorrow's the ride back to Mumbai. But it's been a good ride, and I think any of these bikes will make you happy. Like us, you've got to figure out what you want from them and which one does that best for you.
ये क्या हुआ?
You need to get a picture of it. I don't have my
That is slushy, and I did not know it was slushy over there, so the front went off.
Dude,
I like this bike, it's quite fun.
Before I remote, you need to come and see the front. And your helmet. Like now the bike is
Keep the gas on and go.
quick inside over here.